Our business reporter, Noakit Kimboi, who sought out the economic impact of the coronavirus on the Kenyan economy. Over to you, Noah.
A very good afternoon to you, Abi. Corona is the talk in the town, in the globe. And of course, we are taking health precautions. Everyone is taking health precautions, making sure that, you sanitize your hands and whatnot. When you cough, cover your, your mouth properly. But are we speaking about the economic impact? And right now, I'm joined by Mr. James Shikwati from Interregion Economic Bloc to help us understand. Mr. Shikwati, the economic impact that you've experienced from this coronavirus, which broke, out from China in Kenya. What have you experienced so far economically?
Well, there's a clear slowdown of the economy because imports are down, especially knowing too well that a lot of the medium-sized enterprises rely on Chinese imports. We can see over the last 2 months there's been a slowdown, and that means retail is also slowing down. And then it means the suppliers are unable to really have the construction system going because a lot of the housing relies on imports from China. Already we've seen flights have been stopped, so that means booking in hotels go down. Then those who supply food to the hotels then lack the market. So all this is a chain that goes all the way to the farm because Kenya being an agricultural country.
So this is affecting, is touching, the people at the bottom of the chain, if we may call it so. Farm workers now going to farm owners, going all the way to hotel industry at large. How should we respond to this particular issue?
Well, I think this needs a coordinated response because, first of all, let me give an example of an employee who's taken a loan mortgage, and then getting a scenario where the company has to slow down. That means that we need a coordinated effort from the banking sector with the government to look at the possibility of how do you give holiday 2 months or so as we hopefully look for a solution that I'm sure the whole world is looking for. The same for companies that took loans. It's the same story because the banks still need the money, but then if the companies collapse, then there'll be nobody to recover the money from. So that's from the mortgage point of view. But now when it comes to the stay-at-home aspect, we know that a lot of the companies might not necessarily be in the digital space. So I think a way has to be found to support the Kenyans who have to stay at home because they have to pay rent. And we know the Kenya government might not have the money, but there could be a resolution probably where if we release the pressure from the banks that need money from those who took loans, probably those who have rental houses then could allow the tenants for a 2 months period without pay, knowing too well thereafter they can repay when the economy starts picking up. But it's not easy. It needs to be something that should be well coordinated to ensure that we don't bring the disease of corruption in it, because that also is another pandemic that underlies the Kenyan situation.
Definitely, and there is a tendency to see things from a very flat point of view, especially in such a moment. We are seeing, developed nations reacting very quickly, putting out economic stimulus. Should we put ourselves in such a position? I would just say the government might not have the money, but from the policy perspective, you say there is an opportunity for that, right?
Yeah, actually what the government requires at the moment is what we call policy innovation. You come up with a policy stimulus package, something that can give industry some breathing space at the moment. We know Kenya Revenue Authority is hot on the heels of people. This is a time you could say, well, let's relax a little bit until when you're back on your feet again. We know already KRA was going even to the small traders looking for the payment per month. Again, this is the time you could say this is not the right time to do this, but it's a balancing act because at the same time we know the government needs the money to be able to run the government activities. So that's where policy innovation is required. Knowing too well that this country, a lot of the activities are in the informal sector, and then we also rely on imports So a policy innovation would be, how do we switch a little bit of the common sense imports, such as toothpicks and others, to be produced within the country, because we sort of let the gate open too much until now it wipes out all the possibilities of indigenous productivity.
So this is a wake-up call, to say the least.
100%, yeah. This is a wake-up call. It shows how we are interconnected globally, but also shows that you don't wait when you hear there's a fire, in your neighbor's house.
Yes.
You need to step out and start safeguarding your house. And I think for some reason we were waiting, hoping that it won't happen.
Yes.
And forgetting that we were highly connected. So it's not too late, maybe, to try and really get it done the proper way, and also avoid the aspects of panic. But it's important that as we pursue the public health solution, the economic health solution is also equally important.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Shikwati. So there you have it. A lot of us are focusing on, sanitizing health-wise, which is very important. But it's high time we also sanitize economically. And Corona is a wake-up call for our system. We are so dependent on imports. How about this should change our minds to be able to see opportunities within the country, but most importantly, avoid panic, rest easy, solution will be found. Over to you, Abby.
Well, thank you so much, Noah Kipkemboi, with that interesting interview with James Shikwati, just laying the foundation really for what should we expect in the coming days. Well, that's why we want to wrap up the show. And as we have been told by public health officials and as well as the general public, we need to